Good day, grade 9, and once again, welcome to our fifth week or to the fifth week of our module based instruction. And this week, we are still talking about conditionals, but we are going to have the lesson 2 or the second lesson of our module 4, which is going to focus on the second and third conditionals. So kindly have your modules ready and let's start with the discussion. So the first lesson of your module 4 talked about zero and first conditionals. Lesson 2 will focus on second and third conditionals. So bag-o ta magpadayon sa aton lesson, sang second and third conditionals, aton danay i-review ang aton previous lesson which dealt with the zero and first conditionals. Okay, so please try to recall the learnings you had sa previous week. Okay, sige, let's answer the following review questions. What is the form of the zero conditionals? So the way I told you about this lesson last week, I said that this lesson is all about patterns, 'di ba? Kaya ang conditionals naga-focus sa grammar, kaya ang grammar or ang patterns ng conditionals have something to do or have a lot of things to do with the meaning. So kung ano ang pattern nga ginausar mo, naga-change or naga-shift ang meaning with it. Okay? So ang form sang zero conditional, mabalaan mo nga zero conditional ang imo nga ginatolok or ang imo nga himuon nga sentence if you have the pattern. If plus subject plus simple present, that is for your main clause, comma, subject plus simple present. Okay? So kung nalipat, kindly open your module again on that page and review. Second, what is the function or use of the zero conditionals? Okay, so ginagamit naton ang zero conditionals when talking about general truth. If you remember, or general truth or scientific facts or historical facts, okay? So if you remember the example I gave you last time, if water reaches 100 degrees, it boils. Di ba hambal ko, this statement makes use of the zero conditional pattern or the zero conditional form because it is a scientific fact. Okay, next, what is the form of the first conditionals? So for the first conditionals, pareho ang iya if clause sa zero conditionals. Naglain lang ang iya nga main clause. So the pattern for first conditionals is if plus subject plus simple present, comma, subject plus will or might or may plus the base form of the verb. Example, if it rains, the grass will get wet. Diba mo naton example? So what is the function or use of the first conditionals again? Okay, so ang first conditionals ginausar naton when talking about possibilities in the present or in the future. Now for this week, we have one target objective, and that is express understanding on second and third conditionals. So you know the drill already. Before we proceed to our lesson proper, kindly answer what I know on page 12 first. Of course, please pause the video while answering, and you can go back to the video again and play it once you're done. So we will start with our lesson proper. Our discussion for today will follow the same flow. Like last week, so i-discuss naton danay ang form sang conditional, sang second kag third conditional. After that, we will talk about the use, kung paano sila usaron. Okay? So let's have first our form for second conditional. So of course, ang second kag third conditionals, they are still part of the conditionals family. So, necessarily, ang ilang, or naturally, I mean, ang ilang pattern is the same. May if clause, kag main clause sila, parehos ng zero, kag first conditionals. But this time, medyo lain na ang form sang if clause kag main clause. So, for the second conditional, please take note of this pattern. Ang if clause, ang itsura sang if clause, ang second conditional is if plus subject plus simple past verb. Okay? Sige. Please take note of that pattern. Ang main clause, we have subject plus would. Pwede man nadagali could plus verb in the base form. Okay? Sige. Pero i-explain ko lang danay sa if clause, 'di ba may ara kita da if plus subject plus simple past nga verb. Ang simple past nga verb dira does not mean nga ang action natapos na. Please take note of that again. Again, suliton, sa if clause, simple past nga verb ang atong ginagamit. But, ang meaning sang simple past dira is not nga natapos na ang action. Sa English, that is what we call the subjunctive form of the verb, nga past ang iya ginagamit, pero ang ginamin niya is imagination. Okay? Kaya muna siya actually ang meaning sang second conditional. So, kindly look at this example. If I had $1,000,000, I would buy a big house. So that statement is an example of a second conditional. So kung nakita nyo, it follows exactly the pattern nga sa iya nga if clause may ara sa if, tapos ang subject ya nga I, tapos ang simple past ya nga verb nga had. Pero again, ang had dira, it doesn't mean nga nagka $1,000,000 na siya sa past. It doesn't mean like that, but it means only, it is in the subjunctive form. It is an imagined situation. Sa main clause naman, subject nga I, and then would nga verb, and then verb in the base form nga by. So like I said, ang would diri, pwede na siya could man. Depende sa meaning. Okay, ginsulat ko na lang gamit ang pointer or ang mouse. Okay? So you have subject plus would or could plus base form of the verb. Okay? So tulo ka maayo ang form sang second conditional kay pasulaton ka muna later sang examples nga inyo. So paano naton usaron ang aton second conditional? Ang second conditional, by the way, sometimes it's called conditionals type 2. A conditional used for talking about things which are unreal, not true or not possible in the present or the future. Meaning things which don't or won't happen. Okay? So, amo to sa kaginang hambal ko nga ang simple past nga verb subjunctive form, it doesn't mean nga natapos ng action, but it means imagined nga situation. So, ginsulit ko ang example, if I had $1,000,000, I would buy a big house. Okay? So, once again, second conditionals, they are for unreal situations or imagined situations. Let's try to look at some more examples. So, here are some other examples of statements in the second conditional. Kailan tawon natin kung insakto bala ang grammar or pareho ang grammar sa gindiscuss ta kagina or ang pattern kag ang iyang meaning. Example number 1, if I were you, I would drive more carefully in the rain. Okay, so ang iyang if clause is you have if and then I, which is the subject, and then verb in the simple past. By the way, I forgot to mention it a while ago. 'Di ba ang basic nga subject verb agreement ta, pag ang I ang imo nga subject tapos ang imo nga verb is be verb sa past, dapat was. Kay dapat I was, 'di ba? Pero sa aton subjunctive nga form or sa aton second conditional, mas ginagamit ang statement nga I were. Okay? So that's why I remember by this time ang kanta ni Beyonce, if you're familiar with it. Ang iya kanta nga, if I were a boy. That is exactly the same meaning as the second conditional nga if clause. Okay? So, suliton, sa second conditional, pag nagamit ka sang uh, simple past nga be verb, usually ang ginagamit naton were. So mahambal kaliwat if I were, or if he were, or if she were. But then again, ang word dira or ang past dira doesn't mean past, but it means unreal situation. Like mahambal ka, if I were you, or that is an imagined situation because you can never be another person. Kung ako sa imo. Amo na ang translation sa aton, pero you are imagining that situation nga kung ikaw siya. Okay? So, second part, ang main clause, you have, I would drive more carefully in the rain. Okay, so, correct ang pattern, pareho ang pattern kagina. You have subject, and then you have would or could, followed by base form of the verb drive. Okay? Meaning, imagine situation, unreal. If I were you, kahambal ko gani, hindi pwede ikaw mangin iban nga tao. Second, Paula would be sad if Jan left. What is your if clause? Oh yes, you have if Jan left. If, followed by subject, followed by verb in the simple past form. Okay? Ang iyang nga main clause, Paula would be sad. So you have subject, and then you have would, and then you have base form of the verb be. Meaning, naglakad si John, wala. Wala. Because it is an imagined situation. Gina-imagine niya palang ang posible matabo kung malakat si John. But then, John is still there. So it's unreal. Hindi tuod nga sitwasyon. That's why it made use of the second conditionals. Okay? So ang operative word ta or ang technical word, imagined. Kung gina-imagine mo lang, that is second conditional. Okay, last example. If dogs had wings, they would be able to fly. Exactly. This is an imagined situation. Kay dogs do not have wings, and they could never have wings. In the meantime, of course. So you have if clause, if subject, dogs, and then you have simple past form of the verb had. Okay? Sa main clause, they would be able to fly. You have subject again, and then you have would or could. In that case, nag-usar siya sang would, and then be, which is a verb in the base form. Okay? So, balik always sa pattern, and then try to remember the use likewise of the second conditionals. So, I expect na process na sang maayo ang second conditionals because right now we will proceed to the last kind of conditionals nga ginatawag naton third conditionals or conditionals type 3. So, ang iya form, pareho lang Japon, if clause kag main clause, pero lain na ang pattern sa sulod. Probably among the four nga conditionals, not probably, certainly, amo ni siya ang pinakalaba nga pattern. Okay? So, ang if clause ya has the pattern if plus subject plus had plus past participle. So, ang had dira is constant, ara na siya always. Of course, sa aton basic grammar, kung mag-usar ka sang had, ang nagasunod always past participle. That's why may past participle kita dira. Ano gani liwat ang past participle? Hambal ko last time, kung magsaulo ka verb, eat, ate, eaten. Ang ikatatlo nga form, that is your past participle. So, sa case sang eat, ang past participle ya is eaten. So, amo na siyang ibutang mo da if usaron mo ang verb nga eat. So, mahambal ka, had eaten. Okay? O, another example, bring, brought, brought. Ang ikatatlo nga form sang verb nga brought, that is your past participle. Okay? Last example. Mahambal ta for example, bite, bit, bitten. So, ang bitten, amo na dang ibutang mo sa past participle and say had bitten. So, again, if plus subject plus had plus past participle. That is your if clause for third conditionals. Ang main clause naman, you have subject plus would, or could, or might. You can choose among the three verbs there, but usually we use would. plus have plus past participle. Again, the key is your pattern. Always follow the pattern. So you have there the following example. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. 'Di ba? So hambal ko siya ang pinakalaba ang third conditionals nga statement sa tanan nga conditionals. So we will discuss paano usaron ang third conditional sa next slide. Ang importante for now, makabalo sang form or patterns ang third conditionals. So this is the function of our third conditionals. A conditional used for talking about things which did not happen in the past. Okay? So ang third conditionals ta is focused lang sa past. Ang mga butang nga wala na tabo, pero ginahinulsulan mo nga tani na tabo. Or nahimo mo siya, tapos hindi mo na ma-change because natapos na siya sa past. That's why, kung lang tawon nyo da ang second bullet naton, it says, the third conditionals are often used to express criticism or regret. So again, ang mga nagkalatabo sa past, nga ginahinulsulan mo nga natabo, pero wala ka na may ma-change because it already did happen. That's why ang example naton kagina, if I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. Okay? Kay buot silingon sina, kung tani nagtuon ka lang sang todo, tani nakapasar ka pa sa exam. But it all happened in the past already and you cannot change it. So that is the meaning of our third conditionals. So we will try to look at more examples of third conditionals sa next naton nga slide. So here are some added examples of third conditionals. Again, mind the pattern and mind the grammar. Study the pattern and study the grammar. Okay, example number 1. If you had driven more carefully, you would not have had an accident. O, di ba laba ang sentence? But the pattern is the same. Bisan ano pa nakalaba sa sentence, if you just know the pattern, you will understand it and it will be clear to you. Lantawa ang if clause, i-compare ta sa pattern kagina para mabalikan nyo ang pattern ara da sa inyong module. Okay? So you have if, nan. And then you have subject, you. And then you have had, di ba? If plus subject plus had plus past participle nga driven. Okay? So ginsugpunan lang more carefully. Ang iya nga main clause, subject nga you, and then would or could or might. In this case, the sentence made use of would and then have. Diba? Pero, negative ang yung sentence. That's why there is a presence of not there. Okay? It doesn't matter. Kabalo naman ta nga kung negative ang sentence, dugangan ta lang not. Diba? But the pattern still remains. So you have you, again, you, subject, would, and then have, plus past participle. Ang had dira is past participle. Di ba kayo have, had. So, the sentence again reads, if you had driven more carefully, you would not have had an accident. Oh, ang meaning naman, kay nakitaan ta na ang pattern. Ano ang meaning sina? Na-aksidente siya bala? Yes, the answer is yes, na-aksidente siya because ang ginamin niya na da is past na. Kung tani, naghalong lang ko sa pag-drive sa past, wala ko tani na aksidente. Diba? So, the sentence expresses regret for something that had already happened. So, na-aksidente siya, so nag-regret siya nga kung tani, wala na lang siya nag-drive sang or nag-drive siya nga may paghalong. So, amo na siya ang usar sang third conditional. Okay, second sentence. If we had played a little better, we could have won the game. Okay, pattern. If clause, if plus subject plus had plus past participle. If we had played a little better, main clause, subject plus would or could or might. So in that case, we have could plus have plus PP or past participle. We could have won. Read again. If we had played a little better, we could have won the game. Meaning, nagdaog sila wala, wala. It's the opposite. Because, again, the sentence expresses regret. Kung tani or kung tani, naghampang kami sang mas maayo, tani nagdaog pa kami. Damo na siya ang meaning sa aton, di ba? So again, it expresses regret for something that did not happen in the past. Kaya wala sila nagdaog. Okay, last sentence. If you had saved your money, you could have bought a computer. Pattern sa if clause, if, di ba sulit-sulit lang ang lesson, subject you, had, plus PP, past participle, saved. Then, in your main clause, you have subject, followed by could, plus have, plus PP. If you had saved your money, you could have bought a computer. Nakabakal sa computer, wala. Wala. Again, the sentence expresses regret. Kung tani, nag-save ko kwarta, tani, nakabakal na ko computer. But then again, wala natabo. Kay sala ang i-action sa past. That's why there is a regret in the tone of the speaker or the speaker's voice. So, amo na siya ang usar, kag ang pattern sa aton third conditionals. So, this is where our lesson on the second and third conditionals end. Now, let's try to review everything, to wrap up everything that has been discussed. Again, what is the form of the second conditionals? So, say it with me. The form of the second conditionals is if plus subject plus the simple past form of the verb, but the meaning is not past. The meaning is imagined, comma, subject plus would or could plus base form of the verb. Okay, so that is for the second conditionals. What is the function or use of the second conditionals? So, ang second conditionals ginagamit natin for imagined situation or unreal situation, most likely in the present. Okay? Third review question. What is the form of the third conditionals? So, based on our discussion, ang third conditionals ang may pinakalaba nga form. So, the third conditionals follow the pattern if plus subject plus had plus past participle, comma, subject plus would or could or might plus have plus the past participle form of the verb. Okay? So, kung hindi masaulo ang ginahambal ko, di again, try to look at your modules. Last review question, what is the function or use of the third conditionals? So, ang third conditionals naton ginagamit to express regret or criticism sang isa ka bagay nga natabo na sa past nga dapat wala siya natabo. Or, suli. Wala siya na, pwede man suli, wala siya natabo sa past pero dapat ginawish mo nga natabo. Okay? So, that is the use of the third conditional. So this is already application time. Please use whatever learnings you've gathered about second and third conditionals and answer the following activities. Let's try A and B, pages 18 and 19. What I have learned on page 20, what I can do on pages 20 and 21, and assessment on page 21 and 22. So our session ends this time, and I hope to see you again in our next session next week. Have a good day.